Have you ever carried shame so heavy that you learned to walk alone? What if the very reason people rejected you is the exact reason heaven has been looking for you? This is not a story about a woman who found God. This is a story about God deliberately choosing someone everyone else avoided. Lyra knew rejection. She knew what it meant to be remembered only for her mistakes, whispered about behind closed doors, and slowly erased from the life of her own people, rejected by her city, avoided by her own kind, and yet intentionally sought by the divine. This is one of the most unexpected stories of transformation ever recorded. Picture a woman walking alone beneath a burning afternoon sky. The sun presses down mercilessly, as if even nature itself is asking why she is still standing. In her hands, she carries a cracked clay vessel light in weight, heavy in meaning. She walks when no one else does. She chooses the hour when shadows disappear and silence reigns. Not because she prefers it, because it is safer than being seen. But today, something is different. At the ancient stone, spring older than memory, older than the city itself, an encounter waits for her that will not only change her life, but alter the destiny of an entire region. Stay with me until the end, because hidden inside this encounter is a truth that may reach places in your heart you didn't know were still thirsty. This is not merely an ancient account. It is a living invitation. Prepare your spirit. This is the story of how a rejected woman's deepest thirst encountered the living source that never runs dry. It was midday in the region of El Marin. The heat was unforgiving. The air stood still. No one with dignity walked under such a sun, except her. Lyra moved along the stone path in silence, her worn sandals brushing against dust that had memorized her footsteps. She knew every crack in the road, every turn, every place where laughter once lived but no longer welcomed her. Other women came at dawn, when the air was cool and the well became a place of belonging. They shared stories, braided hair, exchanged news, and spoke of family. Lyra came when no one else would, not out of preference, out of survival. It was easier to endure heat than whispers, easier to face the sun than the eyes of those who knew her past. Because this woman didn't just walk under the sun to avoid people. She walked because she believed she was no longer worth being seen. And if you've ever felt that way, this story is already about you. Her thirst was not merely physical. She thirsted to be forgiven, to be restored, to be known for something other than her failures. Each step toward the stone spring was a reminder of what she had lost and what she no longer dared to hope for. But this day would not end like the others. Because sometimes, when we bring our deepest thirst to the right place, we discover we were never meant to satisfy it alone. And you? What kind of thirst have you been carrying in silence? To understand Lyra, you must look beyond the spring. She had loved deeply and lost repeatedly. 5 unions, 5 promises, 5 endings that left her more fractured than before. Each time, she believed this one would heal what the last had broken. Each time, hope gave way to disappointment. Now she lived with a man who offered shelter but not covenant. In the eyes of the city, she was finished. What no one in El Marin knew was that her greatest failure was about to become her greatest calling. Picture the early streets at dawn. Women gather with their vessels balanced high, exchanging stories as sunlight kisses the rooftops. Lyra approaches and conversations die. Eyes avert. Children are pulled away. She is not welcome. She never has been. Each rejection became another stone in the wall around her heart, until she began to believe the lie that she was beyond repair, that even the divine had turned away. But had he? When Lyra reached the stone spring that day, she stopped. Someone was there. A man sat calmly beside the water. By his clothing and posture, she knew he was from the southern kingdoms, a scholar, an outsider, someone who should not be sharing space with her. Their peoples did not mix. They did not speak. They barely acknowledged one another. She lowered her gaze, preparing to draw water quickly and disappear. Then he spoke. "Will you give me a drink?" 3 words. In that moment, centuries of hostility collapsed into a single sentence. This wasn't a casual request. It was a divine interruption. Her heart tightened. "How can you," she asked cautiously, "ask something from me when our peoples do not even speak?" Her question carried generations of pain. Why was he addressing her? At that ancient spring, a dialogue began that would unravel everything Lyra believed about herself and about God. He did not see divisions of culture or reputation. He saw a thirsty soul. Instead of answering directly, the man spoke with quiet authority. "If you knew the gift of heaven," he said, "and who speaks to you now, you would be the one asking, and I would give you living water." Living water? Lyra glanced at the deep spring, then at his empty hands. "You have nothing to draw with," she replied honestly. Where would this water come from? Her mind remained fixed on the physical. She had learned not to hope beyond what she could touch. But he continued, "Everyone who drinks from this spring will thirst again. But whoever receives the water I give will never thirst. It will become a fountain within them, rising into life without end, a water that never runs dry." She didn't realize it yet, but this was the first time in her life someone was offering her something without asking her to earn it. "Sir," she said softly, urgency rising, "give me this water so I don't have to keep coming here." She didn't fully understand, but her heart had begun to open. Then he did what no one had ever done before. "Go," he said gently. "Bring your partner. Come back." Her breath caught. This was the moment she feared. She could have lied, she could have run, but something in his presence invited truth. "I don't have one," she whispered. He looked at her not with accusation, but compassion. "You speak truth," he replied. "You've had 5 bonds, and the one you live with now is not bound to you." He knew everything. He didn't shame her, he didn't flatter her. He told her the truth and didn't leave. For the first time, Lyra experienced what it meant to be fully known and still welcomed. "I see you are a prophet," she said. They spoke of worship, of longing, of the promised restorer written about in ancient scrolls. "I know he is coming," Lyra said. "When he arrives, he will explain everything. Pay attention. This is the most shocking moment in the entire story." The man looked at her and said, "I am he." Silence. The first open declaration of divine identity, spoken not to rulers, not to priests, but to a woman the world had discarded. God does not wait for perfection. He meets us in our brokenness. At that moment, living water surged within Lyra. Lyra left her vessel behind. Think about that. What she dropped at the spring is exactly what most of us refuse to let go of. She ran back to the city she avoided. "Come," she cried. "See a man who told me everything about my life. Could this be the one?" The rejected became the messenger. The silenced became the voice. Many believed because of her testimony. This story reveals the heart of God. He chooses the unlikely, the wounded, the thirsty, not because of merit, but because of openness. Because the real miracle wasn't that Lyra found living water. The miracle is that it is still being offered to you. The question is not whether God can transform a broken life. The question is, will you leave your vessel behind? Because the one who waited for Lyra at the stone spring is still waiting at your well. Amen.